Hello, let's talk about frames. Frames are very similar to cropping, but they're actually separated out in Canva into a separate kind of function. So we're going to put something in a circle. Then we're going to put an image inside this kind of brush stroke thing. Let me show you another image. You can just drag things inside of frames. They're super useful. I'll also, at the end, show you a little bit of document navigation for those of you who are maybe a little bit new to Canva and how it all works. I'll show you easy ways of zooming in and moving around at the end of this one. But let's get started with frames. All right, let's make frames work. So what we're going to do is, if you haven't already noticed, watch this. You can either, there's two options when you're using elements. Okay, this panel here that we use a lot. Okay, if I hover over here, it goes away, comes back. It's up to you whether you like that or not. Okay, if you click on it, it stays open forever. I'm going to click on it so it stays open. Okay, you can close it down by hitting the cross. Up to you. So what we're looking for here is in elements, we're looking for frames. Okay, you can either use these like little shortcuts. These do change. Okay, and you can scroll down, stickers, photos, videos, audio, blah, 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 blah. We're looking for frames and we're going to go to show all. Okay, and there's the frames. They're kind of like cropping, but in Canva, they've kind of separated them out. So let's do a circle crop first. So first of all, you put in this thing. Basic shapes, I'm going to start with a circle. Then I'm going to come out of frames. So there's a little arrow here to come out of frames back into my generic everything elements part. I'm going to go to my photos, see all. I'm going to type up the top here. I'm looking for coffee. What we're going to do is we're going to give away free coffee as part of the reopening. So look for a paid or a free option in here. I'm going to go for this one because it's free. I'm going to click on it and nothing happens. Basically, it's kind of just dumped it on the page. Watch this. If I drag it kind of somewhere near close to it, it will jump in. And it works very similar to cropping. Watch this. If I double click on it, you're like, ooh, I know this. There's that kind of frosty bit on the outside, so I get to recrop it. I get to rotate it. We end up in the same place, okay, but you start with framing. That's a bit of a, I don't know, it's a strange one. Let's click done, and just remember to adjust the image inside of it, double click it, okay, and to adjust the frame, okay, you start outside, like you know, you're not in here. So come out and then you can adjust the size of it. You can mess around with these as well. Okay, if you need an oval, okay, I don't want an oval. So I'm gonna hit undo. Remember your undo button up here, or Command Z on a Mac, Control Z on a PC. Okay, and there you go, that's a frame. I'm gonna kind of put mine here and we'll adjust it in a little bit. Let's go crazy and add a border to it. So remember the border width, I'm gonna add this, a border width. I'm going to go to this color here, my border color, and I'm going to pick something, anything bright. Again, we'll look at colors properly a little bit later in the course. There you go. And the next thing I want to do is let's do another frame, because frames, we did a boring circle. There are some really cool frames in here, okay, to add a bit of excitement to our images rather than just a rectangle with an image in it. So what we're going to do is something new. We're going to add a page. You can duplicate the page if I want two of them. And let's say I'm going to make adjustments. I don't want that. So I'm going to go to my undo again, go back to one page. I just want a blank page. Okay. And what we're going to do is go to our frames. Okay. So let's go here, scroll down to frames. Let's click the button. Frame, it jumps to it in our list. I'm going to go to see all, and I'm going to grab one of these. Up to you. Experiment with a couple. I'm going to grab, I like the little scrubby one. Where's the scrubby one? There you go. I like this one. I'm going to click it once. It appears out there. I'm going to make it nice and big. So I want to put text over the top of it. A really nice way of just having something quite interesting in the background whilst having text over the top, okay, is with it selected. If we close, I'm going to stop the search for frame. Okay, I'm going to go back until I find photos. Okay, and a really nice search term in photos is abstract background. We'll just type in abstract, okay? And you will get interesting things that will be good for the background, okay? That you can put text over the top. They're just kind of like supporting graphics. I'm gonna find something that's gonna support my camping. Well, I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna drag it in. You see there, we can add some text over the top of it, but it'll be interesting without it kind of being overpowering in terms of being able to read text over the top. So now I'm going to go to text. I'm going to go to add text box, and I will add my quote in a minute when we get onto text. But I guess I just want to show you frames, and I wanted to show you a little hack finding abstract backgrounds. We'll do the same for the background. Another handy one is if I go back to elements and I go to photos, or I'm still in photos. Okay, I'm going to go to another one and go texture is another good one. Texture background, ooh, texture paper, let's do this one. So pick any one you like. I'm going to go you, just something simple. And what I'm going to do is right click it and say set as the background. Ooh, look at us, fancy. Another thing about frames is that if you want to get this image out, you can select on it and right click it and say detach image. Okay, and it pops it out, and you've got your frame separate from your image. Okay, one other thing I'll show you while we're here. So I've dragged it back in. If I drag this off, I'm like, oh, you just stay over here, just stay over here, just stay over. Guess what? That is gone forever. That is one of the weird things about Canva is you can't work in the pasteboard. Hands up who in other maybe design programs, you end up working all the way out here on the sides. You can't do that in Canva because they go away. So I'm going to undo, okay, a couple of times till it's back in. One of the weird things is that you can detach an image from a frame, if you go inside of a frame, it looks very much like cropping, okay, just like we did before. But this image here, if I right click it, I can't detach from frame or detach image. I don't know why, but it's easy to do for frames. And lastly, some basic navigation. If you haven't stumbled across it already, you can use a sidebar up here. I use my page up, page down on my keyboard. Not all keyboards have a page up, page down. So you might have to do some scrolling with your mouse scroll wheel, okay, or drag this little slider. Other useful things is down the bottom here. If you've got lots of pages, you can say I want to go to page 2 and hit enter, okay, and jump down to, I don't know, be more interesting if you've got page 20. You can drag the slider here, okay, to zoom out or zoom in, depending on what you need. Now to move around in the document, it used to be like a hand tool that's gone away. Okay, so they're assuming a couple of things is, let's say I zoom in and I want to kind of go up a little bit. I can use this scroll wheel, okay, and I can use this one here. What they're assuming is if you're on a laptop, you can use 2 fingers on the touchpad to move around. That's what I'm doing. I got a laptop next to me. Or on your mouse, you can use the scroll wheel. And if you have a third button on your mouse, not everyone does, you can click hold and drag it around. So there's lots of different ways of navigating. There's an option for everybody. The problem is it's not like a universal one. If you have got tips on your specific computer that's a bit different than I explained, leave those in the comments so other people can figure out how to move around as well. Down the bottom here, probably the most useful one is if you go to fit, it will fit a whole page on your screen. You can go to fill, and it will try and make it as wide as possible and fill it all up. Fit's really good. Obviously there are different percentages in here. I'm gonna go to fit. Another way for zooming in is hold down your command key on a Mac or control key on a PC, okay, and hit plus. See along the top there, there's a plus and there's also a minus. So it's command on a Mac, control on a PC, and use plus or minus. Last little bit of navigation, if you're like, oh, there was a lot in there. We'll just do it over and over in the course, but I want to throw it in here early. Can you see down here, there's thumbnail view, grid view. Let's click on thumbnail view. And that gives you a way of moving between the documents, less of a scrolling, okay, and more linear, okay, left and right. Up to you which way you work. I'm gonna leave it as it was by default in this kind of like scroll option. The other one is you can go to grid view, okay, and you can just kind of go, all right, I wanna work on this one. It's handy when you're working through a larger presentation because it allows you to reorder stuff. I can kind of just drag things around, kind of PowerPoint-y-esque. You go back over there. I'm going to go back out of grid view, and there you go. A little bonus at the end, frames plus some basic navigation. All right, that is it. I will see you in the next video.